I've grown a new account, started doing some content, just having authentic conversations. And I've been gaining 1,000 new followers a week. So much that people are like, are you buying followers? I'm like, no, it ruins your social.
Dude, I don't understand the buying. You're ruining your engagement. You're ruining your social media. And to me, it just doesn't make sense. Why you want to talk to nobody? How do you personally deal with mishaps or things that happen?
So my biggest thing is learning to control what I can control. One day you'll die and they'll die. And guess what? Your money's not going with you. Your Instagram's not going with you. Your following doesn't matter. But what legacy did you leave?
Where do you see yourself, going with the journey that you're on?
One of my life missions was to impact 1 billion lives.
Welcome back to another episode of the What's the Creator podcast. I'm your host, Justin, and today I got a very special episode for you all. We're getting into the PR game here with this one, man. This guy is a specialist at that. He has worked with a ton of influencers. He's guided me in some ways, and we had gonna have a really good conversation, man. Let me introduce to you all Jeffrey Mann. How's it going, bro?
Good, brother.
Absolutely.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. I'm so glad you could come out. This dude came all the way from Utah to come see your boy and
sir.
sit with me, man. So I really
Got to.
appreciate your time in this.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, dude. Let me ask you, man. Like you're no stranger to influence, content, marketing, public relations. Like you have been doing it for how long now?
Oh gosh,
About to sound old.
Since I say since before the pandemic, really
Okay.
is when I started to jump into it.
Yeah. What made you take that route of getting into it on the back end of the whole process?
I think, and you know me well enough, is I don't shut up. I'm always talking, and I'm like, how can I take that and apply it into a job or into work?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I love to connect with people. I love to meet new people, and it just lines up with PR. And so I initially started with brands and products, and I didn't really enjoy it.
Yeah.
And it was the busy work and the computer stuff.
I found when doing a couple brand things, like it felt disconnected.
Yeah.
Like it's not relationship
Yeah.
like type of vibe at all.
Exactly.
Because you're really focused on this one item or these products, and there's no soul talking back to you. At
Exactly.
That point.
And with a person, it's about conversations.
Right.
So you put that person on a stage, in a room, on a podcast, they do the rest of the work, and they either connect or they don't. With a product, you're either trying to sell someone on something they don't need or make up a reason why they should get it. And so I just shifted into working with influencers and just really, I tell people, if I can put them at a table, my job's done.
Yeah.
Because they'll have a conversation and either will go really good or go really bad.
Yeah. I love that because, like, it's so true. Like, if you can just get them in the room, they do the rest of the work.
Yeah.
All right. And then you end up looking good, they end up looking good, and everybody wins. I also think that one thing like an influencer understands that's different than working with a product, they understand that the likeness of their personality and their person is what can drive things further than the actual product can.
Yes.
I think like to tie a product to a face is ideal.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's the ideal situation. If you can get people to trust the person, they will buy whatever they put out no matter how good or bad the product is.
Yeah.
Because I think bad products are sold every day.
Yeah.
I don't think it has anything to do with the actual quality of the product. As long as you can fulfill on what you promised and keep trust, you can win.
Yeah.
And so I always look at like someone like yourself or someone that's in my seat here with Ryan Pineda, you're playing the game of attention.
Yeah.
But you're aligning that with how much you can help and serve people.
Exactly.
All right? You agree with that?
Yeah. No, I agree 100%. And I think it's also learning how to do it the wrong way, how to do it the right way.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, I've made a lot of mistakes and I've had a lot of issues, but also I've had a lot of wins and successes. But I need both. It's a balancing act. And that's what I love about the universe is you take a rose, you have the flower, but you also have the thorns.
Yeah.
And you can't have one without the other. And that's the thing I've had to learn is, okay, today may be super negative and there's a lot of issues and faults, but guess what? Tomorrow is going to be positive and there's going to be wins. And understanding that everything is balanced together.
No, absolutely. I'm gonna get candid here, and I want to talk a little bit about our personal relationship.
Okay.
I met you 2 years ago now.
Yeah.
Dang, it's crazy that it's been that long. And one thing that I appreciated from you is that we sat in my office and had that conversation, and you were truthful about everything that you were telling me in regards to the industry and what to expect. At that time, I was just getting into dealing with having a bigger role and responsibility with Ryan. And so trying to understand how you were moving with your client, I was like, man, like, okay, I'm seeing like there's more to this than just propping up a camera and a microphone,
exactly.
right? Like, there's a lot that needs to be done.
Exactly.
Part of me is like, I don't want to do all of that. The other part of me is like, okay, if he's making it work, I just need to understand how he's doing it.
Yeah.
And I asked you questions, and you answered questions, and then you returned some questions, and I answered what I had for you. And so I really felt then like, okay, this is a good relationship. Like, we're getting ready to actually do some things together that's going to help us grow individually, even outside of, the entrepreneur. So first, let me say, congratulations on what you're doing right now, currently, and the brand that you're building on your own.
Thank you.
I do think, like, one, the content is great. Right, I'm seeing the videos. I'm like, okay, he knows. Like, you've been in the room enough to know exactly what you need to do.
Yeah.
On that microphone. I go, but I also appreciate when an individual, especially when men can have conversations in conflict and come to an understanding.
Yeah.
Right. So just for context for the audience that doesn't understand, in the industry that we're in and what we're doing when you're dealing with influencers, and you're dealing with events, and you're dealing with products, and you're dealing, like, there are certain circumstances where miscommunication can happen.
Yeah.
And that miscommunication can cause, like, real problems.
100%.
And the person I am, I appreciate every relationship that I make.
Yeah.
So for me, it was like, some people are like, I'm just not going to communicate with this person no more. We just won't do business anymore. It's just over with. Me, I'm like, no, like, I owe that person a conversation.
Yeah.
Right? And however the conversation goes is how it has to go.
Yeah.
But we need to have it. So just so that there's understanding. Like, we're in the industry. We're going to see each other. We're going to communicate. So I was like, yeah. So even the day that I called you, I was like, Jeffrey, bro, what happened?
Yeah.
Like, did you know that was getting ready to happen?
Yeah.
What's going on? And I was glad that you were very truthful with me in that moment.
Yeah.
And that you were like, bro, like, this is how it happened.
Yeah.
Right? Because it gave me an understanding of, like, yeah, Justin, you made a mistake. Like, I made the mistake in that moment.
Yeah.
Because what I should have done, even if stuff happens last minute, is double check everything.
Yeah. Well, and the thing that I love about your phone call and calling me out on that is that gave me a chance to call out my team and the people. And I'm like, guys, we got to have an order. We got to have respect for other people's events. And the crazy thing was, this was our second time doing an event together. And the first one was smooth.
No problem. Yep.
And so what I think is we relaxed. The second time around, because the first one went so smoothly.
Yeah, because it's familiar now.
Exactly. And I did the same thing. So it even falls on me as like, you can never relax. You've always got to follow. And I have a process. And when you slip up on one thing on the process, it can mess everything up.
I say it every day. I tell my team that every single day.
Yeah.
Every single day. Like, the moment, and it's from top to bottom of the business.
Yeah.
The moment you decide not to take the step that's in the process, it shifts everything and allows for some type of chaos.
Yeah. Well, and the beautiful thing is, both of us are the type of person where we can have a conversation and not beat around the bush.
Yeah, no.
As soon as you called me, we went straight to it.
Yeah.
And I could have made up 100 different excuses and reasons why I had this, or chose not to take the phone call.
Yeah.
But I respect you enough, and we have that relationship. I'm like, we can talk about anything, and we can figure out, A, B, and C.
As it should be, man. Like, I'm a firm believer that, like, at the end of the day, we men.
Yeah.
So we should be able to have that conversation,
exactly.
right? Like, it should be that way. But it was one of those situations that I can appreciate the conversation just happening.
Yeah.
And then going forward with figuring it out, right?
Yeah.
Like, it didn't, like, some people, you had that conversation with them, and then the conversation goes great, and we've kind of figured things out, and then you still never hear from them
Yeah,
again,
exactly.
Right?
Well, and the cool thing is, what we learned is, hey, this person may not be a fit, but it doesn't mean that has to impact our relationship, because there's other people that you can connect with and find synergies that work, and people that actually fit the puzzle better.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Absolutely. With that, though, obviously, we're past that, and things are still moving. We still growing. We still trying to figure it out. Tell me, though, like, how do you personally deal with mishaps or things that happen, as you go about your business?
So my biggest thing is learning to control what I can control. Yeah. There's some things that are out of my hands that I have no ability to change or to impact. But if I can impact and make sure everything that I have hold of and everything I can control is smoothly, then I know I've done my part.
Yeah.
And I have to be comfortable with the rest going as it may. And it's also been part of, being comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And it's, and also being able to pivot.
Yeah.
Because so many things in our industry and in our space, so many things can change and so many things can go wrong. And so I've really, for me, had to look at and been like, okay, this went wrong. How do I adjust? I need to accept it. It's happened. I can't let it affect me and let people see me off my game. Now, how do I move forward? And how do I use it to my advantage?
Yeah.
Because when you're flustered, people can tell. And they're like, oh, something's obviously wrong, but you got to keep that game face on and still have that smile on your face and no matter what. And, I've seen you behind the scenes and you've seen me. I even had an event where by the end of the week, I was at dinner with a bunch of my buddies and I looked at one of them. I started slurring my words. My buddy's like, what's wrong with you? I don't know.
Okay? Yeah.
I ended up going to the hospital because of dehydration and exhaustion.
Yeah.
But I went to the hospital that next morning. I was back hooping at 6 a.m. with the fellas and everything and finished off the event. But it's because I put so much of my heart and soul into everything that I do that I was like, okay, you got to find that balance of what's time for myself, what's time for work, and, balancing the two.
Yeah. I mean, I got lucky young and found my wife young, and that is who checks me when it's time.
Yeah.
Right? Like, she don't care what's going on.
Yeah.
All right, sit down, relax. Stop thinking about it. Let's go do something. Let's take a vacation. Let's figure it out. Without that, I'll be driving. Like, I wouldn't stop.
Yeah.
I would just keep going. And I still feel like I'm not stopping because I'd be on a vacation sometimes trying to figure stuff out. But it is one of those things where you need to figure that balance, between the two. Because you're right? Like, these, even though people they may not see it because of how you deal with it, it's high stakes, high pressure situations, right? Like, and it's gonna sound like, man, what are you talking about? You're not in the field doing anything. But one, we are in rooms where there's millions of dollars on the table, and one thing going wrong can mess up a reputation.
Yeah. 1 minute late, 1 minute overtime.
And what I think about in those moments is, sure, something can go wrong, and Ryan's reputation may be messed up, and it has a major impact on Ryan. But then you got to think about how that trickles down to everybody else.
Exactly.
I think about other people's families when we have stuff going on. When we're at these events or we're, putting on some type of, or even like offering or pitching a product, in my mind I go, okay, this has to work because everybody's relying on
Exactly.
this.
Everybody has to win.
This isn't a corporation backed by some major. That's not what this is. Right? We are all startup companies that's trying to figure out, and entrepreneurs that are trying to figure out.
Yeah, and the influencer space, we're pivoting and crafting new ideas every day and looking at the economy and what are people talking about and what's new and how do we reach people's hearts. But one of the things I love about your team that really sticks out to me is you guys can jump into business, but you also have your relationship with God.
Yeah.
And you guys make that known. You don't brush it under, the rug. It's part of who you are and your guys' values as a company.
Absolutely. Our core values: play fair, no ego. Right. First, that's the big two that I always I live by that. Right. Like, I need this to be a place on my team where they're not concerned with what the other person is receiving.
Yep.
Right? It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like, I have to go do this. Yeah, do I want to grow? Yeah, but I'm not trying to grow by looking at the other person on the other side of the room. Right? Then not having an ego. Right? Like, it was funny. The very first time you were there, the first time you came to I don't know if you made it to my session, but it was my first time doing the main stage. I had done a panel on main stage, and I had done all of the breakout rooms before. But this particular one, he gave me 35 minutes on main stage to do a session. And I played ball, so I was never nervous in getting in front of people. Like, it didn't matter. Like, you know how it is. Like, and you play football, so you understand. When you're getting ready to run out of the tunnel, it's right when you feel it.
Yeah.
Right? Because your adrenaline is rising, and you start to feel is what and that's how I felt going onto the stage. It was like stepping onto the stair to go up there. In my mind, and I'm psycho because the first thing I think about is do not fall going onto the stage. Right? Like, do not ruin your moment right now by falling and tripping on these stairs. So that was a focus. But then I was like, all right, once you get up there, it's like sports. Let your muscle memory kick in.
Yeah.
And so it was one of those times where I finished that and I got off and I looked to my team who were all backstage at the time, and I can just see them just looking at me and smiling.
Yeah.
Right? And all I hoped for in that moment was that I inspired them to do more than just whatever their role is. Yeah. Right? Because that's how I've been able to grow. I've just done more than what is required for the job to do.
And that's the beautiful thing that I hope people listening to this understand is when I first met you 2 years ago, you're back doing the computer stuff.
Yeah.
And just, behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And to go from there to now you're on the stage where you're adding value to thousands of people's lives. And it shows people that be patient, embrace the journey, and go all in. Because guess what? You can achieve where you want to make it as long as you're committed to that journey. And that's the cool thing for me to see is to see how far you've grown and see you on the pod and connecting. And now you're hosting meetups and everything. And I'm like, how do I get to his level?
No, stop it, man. It's not how you get to that. What it is we're all just solving a problem for someone.
Yeah.
Right? Again, it always leads back to serving. That's
Yeah.
what our serve others is another core value.
Yeah.
Right? It just always leads back to I'm constantly, how can I serve you? And how can I offer anything that I can provide to you?
Yeah.
Right? And don't get me wrong, like sometimes it comes with a price, sometimes it doesn't. Right? Like I didn't pitch anything at that meetup.
Yeah.
I was like, I want to get people in the room to just have discussions.
Yeah.
Right? I was surprised at it. It was funny because before that meetup that you referred to, they're like, "Are you nervous, team? Like, you nervous?" I'm like, "Nah." I'm like, "They're like, you ain't nervous? You think people gonna come?" I'm like, "I haven't thought about that."
Yeah.
I'm like, if 2 people come, I'm gonna get up there and do the same thing I would do if 100 people came.
Yep. And impact those 2 people just like you would a room of 100 people.
It would feel no different to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, because my goal was to hope that someone left here inspired and with value. Something to take home and go apply. So, you know what I mean? You don't got to say, how do I get... You could do that right now if you want to, right? Like, you can do that whenever. We can host a meetup together somewhere, right? And have some fun that way. But to me, this isn't... I've worked real jobs.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I come from, a different kind of place. Flying private was something that I never imagined.
Yeah.
All right? Like, it's something I could have never guessed in a million years that I would be doing, right? But it's one of those things where it's like, oh, I'm blessed to be in this role. Now let me figure out who else I can help.
Yeah. Well, and a side note, just with flying private, and you've probably seen this, is my friends will see me on a private plane. They're like, "Oh my gosh, this!" I'm like, "Guys, this ain't vacation.
It ain't.
I see the bill of what the jet costs and what we're going to do. So I'm on the plane here working. It's not like my feet are up and I'm enjoying the soda and everything. I'm like, the guys who are flying private are working hard to be able to have that lifestyle and live in that life.
Absolutely.
And so it's not really a time to relax.
And that was one of the things I delivered right away to my team, as I can see even them, like, after I did the stage and stuff, they're like, "Hey man, at what point did you decide you had to start growing your own brand?" And I'm like, "See, you're about to lose focus."
Yeah.
Right, on doing what, one, your task is to do here.
Exactly.
But 2, I had to get them to understand that it's really shiny.
Yeah.
What you don't see, though, is that I got to take the work home sometimes.
Uh-huh.
What you don't see, though, is that the weekends, I'm getting, my messages are still going off all weekend, right? When you go home and you go to golf or you go play basketball somewhere, I'm usually on my phone trying to figure something out or trying to put out a fire, just trying to figure out what's next for our spot, and somebody has to do that.
Yeah.
So it looks shiny when you see the attention. I'm like, it ain't as glamorous as it looks, right? Like, Ryan, don't turn it off. Like, the wealthy way is 9 to 5, family. What people don't realize is that family is like the second job of the evening, right? Like, and you have to give that attention just as much as you give, the job attention. So then you're right back to it.
Yeah.
So I tell people, like, and I told them, like, it just looks really shiny. I go, but I'm losing my voice at the end of the events. I'm tired, right? And then usually we got a workshop the following week, so we got to get ready for that, right? It doesn't end. Yeah. All right? And I make fun of them because I was like, none of you all ever beat me to the office. Yeah. And I live the furthest away. All right? So when you ready, like when you feel like you ready to build something serious, or like what you calling building your brand, you better get to work. Yeah. I tell people that on the content side too. Everybody that comes into Wealthy Creator and gets the coaching, I'm going, look, I'm going to tell y'all got to compete with me. Yeah. Like.
Yeah, and if they ain't on your level, then they.
But you got to put the work in. Yeah. It's not that I don't think you can. Yeah. Because I think you can once you commit.
They want the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, but they don't want to. They don't want to go the journey.
Ryan's filming 3,000 videos a year, if not more. Yeah. You got to compete with that.
Yeah. Well, and I think the other side people don't see is, even if you have someone in town and let's say you go to dinner, you're still on a stage and communicating that dinner, and you're not relaxed, and it's not. I'm like,
the video looks good.
Exactly, but it's not like, oh, I'm just enjoying my food. No, I'm driving a conversation and connecting with them and everything. So you're constantly on.
Yeah. What are you seeing for the rest of this year, early next year for influencers and in the content space? Where do you see that direction going? I see some changes, and I wanna get your opinion on it. But what are you seeing?
I think the digital stage is growing.
Okay.
I think we're moving from, a lot of people are doing these events, which were good and stuff, but challenges are starting to become a big thing, but digital challenges.
Yeah.
Instead of like a 5-day events that you've seen, people are moving more to the workshop method. And because what I've seen is like, people can come to an event and they can take notes and everything, but at a workshop where they have stuff they have to work on, there's breakout sessions. People want to be able to do things rather than just sit.
Yep.
Because exactly. And so I think that's one of the shifts, but also I think, and maybe it's just me, but I've seen so many new and different influencers are starting to connect more and do more things together. Whereas a lot of people were doing their solo things and everything. They're like, people don't want to hear one person talk for X amount of time. They want to have different perspectives, learn different things. And so I think we're starting to see a shift in, as a consumer, consumers are looking for more because consumers want to be able to create their own businesses. But in doing so, they need to know, how do I do content? How do I do the sales side? How do I build out the marketing? They want all of those different secrets and tips. And when they go to events, they're looking to how can I get a little bit of everything to build my own thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you on most of those points, right? Like, influencers are definitely doing more collaborations.
Yeah.
And I think there's several factors to why that is. One of them being just the market and the economy.
Yeah.
I think from 2020 on, 2022, everybody was spending.
Yeah.
Right? Like, everybody was feeling good about their situations. There was a lot of money being given out.
Yep.
Right? And so everybody was really spending. And so it was easier to be an individual and start to grow your own and have your own lane. I think now it's a race to the bottom on things. Like, I'm not seeing high ticket offers.
Yep.
I'm seeing a whole lot of low ticket offers and funnels. And I think that's just the market.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you have to adapt. I think those individuals that aren't adapting won't be here next year.
Yeah. No.
I think that they'll be gone, or they'll be really struggling to try to figure it out at that point. And that point, they may be too late.
Yeah.
So I think that's happening. As far as the content, like specifically what you said, it was great, because I do think masterclasses, webinars, challenges are playing a big role.
Yeah.
And I really do believe that is because everybody now, even though they're not spending the high ticket, they're still wanting to learn.
Yeah.
All right. And where courses were a thing, not so much anymore.
Exactly.
All right. Now I need you face to face, Zoom, or whatever it is. I need you to be hearing from you directly.
Yeah.
I don't want to buy your $3,000 course.
Exactly.
And sit and listen to you for hours.
Yeah.
You need to give me what I need, or you need to give it quick.
Yeah, exactly.
All right? A couple hours of this webinar needs to give me what I need in order for me to actually get buy-in and support you.
Exactly. And the other side, on the customer side, is the other thing I've seen influencers having to do is, I think they were selling courses, programs, everything, high ticket offers, but what was missing was that customer journey and the customer success. And so now it's, oh my gosh, we have all these people who've bought these products, but then what?
Yeah. What
how
testimonials?
How do we keep adding value to them so they stay with us the duration, rather than, okay, they bought it, they got a little money. How do we keep them for life?
Yeah.
And how do we grow with them?
What advice do you offer an individual that's struggling with that and trying to understand that now? How should they go about it?
I think we need to look at what values do we have, what values are they looking for, and figuring out how we can align them together. I think the other thing is understanding the market and the people, that the economy's changing, people are changing. You've got to be able to be flexible and grow with them. You can't force people to come to be what you want it to be or to like what you want. You need to shift your products in your platform and even your content for the people. And that's one of the things I've been doing. Like, a buddy and I, we talked about Drake versus Kendrick.
Yeah.
We talked about the kicker for the Kansas City Chiefs.
I hope you had Kendrick in that battle.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Okay.
You already know.
Okay.
West Coast.
All right.
It's Kendrick all day. And we ain't light-skinned. So, it's Kendrick all the way. And so it's like, what is relevant and what are people talking about? But then taking stuff like that and like, okay, look, here's what's happening. But hey, here's what you could learn from it. Here's how you can apply it. because then you're capturing people's attention on something they already are focusing on.
I want to focus on that too, because this is the Wealthy Creative Community, so they're focused on content creation, right?
Yes, sir.
That's what we teach. What did you learn from that Kendrick and Drake battle?
Be careful who you go to battle with, because we can choose to attack certain people or call certain people out, and we don't know how hard they're going to come back at us.
Yeah.
But also, I look at, this is my perspective, but I think Kendrick is coming from a rough background and the way he grew up and everything, whole different than what Drake grew up and the way that his life has been. And so Kendrick is coming from a place of experience. He's coming from a place of pain, from a journey. And so when he speaks, it's real.
Yeah.
And people connect with something that's real versus something that's fake.
That was going to be my number one thing. I think Kendrick just ended up more relatable
Yeah.
than Drake did in his moment.
Yeah.
And I think that especially in hip hop and rap music, that matters.
Yeah.
Right? Because sadly the consumers of that music aren't people from there.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So this is why Drake has such a presence in the first place, is because most of it is middle, white America.
Yeah.
Right. Like, but those that are living in that, there's no way that they were going to side with him on that, no matter what happened in the battle. Right. So I just think Kendrick he was more relatable. I also think that now with social media, he did what Drake did to Meek.
Yeah.
And you load it up.
Yeah.
It's quantity will get you through, right? And
Yep.
nothing else. Because Kendrick could have put out 3 bad records and then finally had a good one, and it wouldn't have mattered. It was the fact that it was taking so long for responses, and that he loaded up more.
Yeah.
Right. And I just think like that's a tell sign. And I told the community this: if I put out 5 videos in a day to your 1 video a day, if my views are less per video than yours, I still got more views.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
I'm still playing that game. And we learned this years ago with Ryan stuff, right? Like at one point we were doing 6 long form YouTubes a week.
Yeah.
Because we understood, he may not get 1 million views. He may not even get 100,000 views per episode of his podcast. But because we put out that amount, if I look at analytics at the end of the week, we got the same amount as the person that did 1 million, or we got, more.
Yeah, and split test.
Yep.
Understand, okay, what topics are people vibing with? What topics are they bored with? And start jumping into the topics that people are loving and they want, and then they're interacting with, and you start to see that. And I was talking to some buddies on my show the other day, and we actually said, hey, thank you everyone making the comments, because whether positive or negative, you're still increasing my engagement on social.
I tell people the algorithm don't know whether it's good or bad.
Exactly.
It has no clue whether or not your comment was good or bad.
Exactly.
If it sees a bunch of bad comments, it's still going to push my stuff. Like, you know what I mean? Because they're just seeing engagement.
Yeah, and people don't realize that. I'm like, you can be a troll all you want, but you're helping me in the long run, so thank you.
Yeah, people, like, dude, Ryan gets it all the time.
Yeah.
Like, somebody always has something to say.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he did a video about retirement where he was like, he doesn't necessarily believe in retirement. Like, he's always going to feel like he should be working. He's like, in fact, I don't know anybody in the Bible that retired.
Yeah.
He's like, none of them did. They always worked. They were disciples. They served. And so the comments was like, it was always like, I agree, of course. And then it's always those, yeah, you can say that from, living, you working 3 days a week and golfing the rest of the week. You can say, it's just all these little negative comments. And I was like, yo, are you, like, one, you couldn't have done your research on Ryan if you said that.
Exactly.
2, it's like, you want to retire and do nothing. Like, that's your ultimate goal.
Yeah.
Like, you're never going to get there.
Yeah.
Because you're never going to work hard enough to just retire and do anything. Like, you're just never going to be able to do it. And it's like, even if you do, you're still going to struggle through maintaining whatever it is that you have. So it's like all these pieces, I'm like, you're just negative, right? Keep coming with that.
Yeah.
So I just liked it.
Yeah.
I was like, I just liked it. Like,
well, I
want you to keep, because the algorithm don't know. The
Yeah.
algorithm has no idea.
Have you connected with Justin Waller at all?
He's been here before.
So one of the things he said was the amount of negative comments he gets is insane.
Yeah.
And once a week he'll pick a comment and he'll just say, "Thank you, wishing you the best. Hope you win at life."
Yeah.
And people don't know how to deal with that because they're hoping to get a reaction out of you and everything. And I'm like, why? Why not see everybody win?
Right.
Why not understand that the time that you took to make that negative comment, what could you have been doing to help better your life, your business, your family, your relationship with God?
Yeah.
but you're taking that time out of your day to, oh my gosh, I can't believe you would say and do this. And what they don't understand is even when most of these influencers are, let's say, golfing, playing pickleball, out doing something, they're filming and still doing content and still working. Like there's never a
still working.
downtime. A vacation for them is not really a vacation because when you play the game of taxes, you're going to start filming.
You gonna understand why
So,
they do that.
yep, so you can write it off.
Yeah.
And it's the same reason why people, it's why they hired their family into their businesses. The game of tax, you don't have to pay taxes if you know how to play the game.
Right.
And the game is designed for us to win, but people don't do the research on how to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's the keyboard warriors, man. We invite you all to the party. Like, come on in, have fun, like explore everything. Go
Yes,
through
sir.
every video, comment on every video. And I hope that eventually it changes your mind. All right, like I hope that you intake enough to where you see the real.
Yeah.
All right, and if not, it's fine. Keep.
And if you've
commenting.
watched the whole video, I've done my job.
Right.
And that's the thing is you're
That's the
still
goal.
watching my stuff. Because for you to look at it, be angry, and comment,
Yeah.
you like something.
Yeah, man. And content's in an interesting place because I do think that there are so many formats of content now that there's going to be, we're never going to see the stoppage of people growing in different areas.
Yeah.
Right? So you have your YouTubers, you have your short form content creators that are on Instagram Reels and TikTok. Some people are just YouTube shorts, right? Like the same type of concept. Then you have what I'm seeing, a lot of money in now and a big craze is your streamers.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts about these streamers that are like, they're in their bedroom the majority of the time, 8 hours a day with just a camera rolling?
There's a market for them. So why not tap into that market? I don't get it.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it. I don't understand. I don't relate to those people. And the thing, I'm like, everyone has their thing they relate to, but I'm just like, is this really where our money should be going?
Yeah.
And we're pouring money into this? But it's like, I went to Utah Valley University. The biggest scholarship at Utah Valley is esports. Bigger than any basketball player can get in anything.
Really?
So it's like the market is there. There's a Walmart in Utah that, when you walk in Walmart, sometimes they have like a Subway. They have an esports lounge
Jeez.
when you walk up in there.
Yeah.
And I saw that for the first time and I'm like, where have we come to?
Yeah.
But it's the way we are. And I think the pandemic helped to enforce it because we realized there's a lot of stuff we can do from home and we don't have to travel. The digital world is so different.
Yep.
And so having the pandemic open these floodgates to a whole different form of ways to make money and things that people are interested in doing.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's, my crazy mind goes, how do we create something that fits in with that market, right? Because I'm always about meeting people where they're at, right? Like I could say, like TikTok gets banned, the attention's going somewhere.
Yeah.
Right? Where is the attention going? 'Cause we need to meet them there.
Yeah, it's got to be somewhere.
Right? So when I see like streamers getting Nike deals and all these different opportunities coming from that, and it's really no work to them.
Yeah.
Right? Like they're at home.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, where does our market fit in? And what we do fit in with something like that. So I be racking my brain, bro. Like I don't fight against the change.
You want to jump into the streaming?
It's not that I want to be a streamer by definition of what that means now.
Yeah.
In my mind, I go, okay, what does it look like for people to pay a subscription for me to just cut a camera on while Ryan's in his office?
And just watch his everyday life.
Watch him eat his lunch.
Yeah.
Watch him talk to his one-on-one. Like, what does that look like?
I think people like that behind the scenes look.
Yeah,
And
because that's what it's in real life experience.
Yeah.
is the way to go now, right? Like we are even doing less like production on our edits.
Yeah.
Because we want people to feel the real life experience.
Yeah. They can tell when it's something so scripted and it's not real and stuff.
Overproduced is not working.
Yeah.
It's not working. And we've always been the overproduced. Ryan's polished with everything, and you don't see any of the mistakes.
Yeah.
And I'm learning that that's starting to shift now, and part of it is because of that streaming world.
Exactly.
So that's how my mind. I rack my mind again. Okay, thinking of like what innovative space do we move to be ahead of that curve of what's happening. And so whatever it is, it's coming.
Yeah.
Right. It was like the AI thing. Like I never looked at AI like, oh man, that could replace me.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
It's a tool.
Yeah. And now it's like I'll give you an example. Chris Crone, his new book he just launched, the whole audio book is AI.
Really?
He never set foot in the studio. We just took every YouTube video he had ever done, pump it into AI, and it put the whole audio book out there.
That's crazy.
And the crazy thing for me is our team, they sent me the AI and I logged into it, and they put other people's voices in it. And I'm like, this is some scary power, because I can now have conversations with people as other people, and they would never know or understand. Now, when you work side by side with influencers and you know their tones, I can be like, that's not him.
When you know them.
Yeah, but the average person, it changes.
I know that. Yeah, no, dude. I could show you a group chat. Somebody sent me an AI that literally I can upload videos of Ryan. All right, I already could do his voice. You know, that already exists.
Yeah,
I could upload videos of Ryan, and the AI is just capturing everything, every bit of information about him, right? To where I can just put the script in, and avatar comes up that looks like him, really close, right? It's still a little robotic, like you said. If you know him, you know it's not, but really, really close to being able to just create ads without him ever having to be there.
Yeah,
scary.
Yeah,
right. That is scary. I tell people, like, there's going to be a point where we're going to have like 30 seconds to determine whether or not that nuke is real, and if it's really coming.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Somebody's going to have to verify that in a really short amount of time. I go, but I also think these are tools.
Yeah.
All right, and so properly used, right, and that's just how it goes with everything. When they invented the gun, they didn't think the gun was going to do what it's doing negatively now.
Yeah.
It was for safety.
Yeah.
All right. It's no different, right? Like when they create these tools, nobody's accounting for the evil out there. So that's going to happen, but I'm going, all right, how can I benefit from the usage of the tool before it gets regulated, before all that other stuff starts to happen? So it's just an interesting time in the content and the media space, because I'm really excited for it, but I'm also like, you got to keep your ear to it, because you got to know what's happening.
If you go back in time, remember when iRobot came out with Will Smith?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, this could never.
It's a real thing.
Yeah,
man.
and now it's like, okay, this is happening.
People living with robots now.
Exactly. It's all around us, and I'm just like, the way science can either go left or it can go right.
Yeah.
And we just have to take advantage of it while we can and use it to our advantage before it gets either regulated like crazy, or it becomes way too expensive that only the 1% of people can use it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think everybody keeps telling me that that's not going to happen because it's too accessible. I think that's what's going to happen.
Oh, yeah.
I think like everything else, they're going to regulate it to where, you got to be of a certain, economical situation, financial situation to be able to afford it.
Exactly.
Or it's a status thing where it's a tool for only a certain group of people, and that's it. That's where I think, like, long term.
Oh, that's what I think it's going to end up.
But everybody's telling me I'm wrong about that. Like, the internet is the internet, and anybody can get whatever. I'm like, I guess, right?
Yeah.
A lot of these sci-fi movies, that is stuff that's happening right now. They knew about this stuff a long time ago, right? Like, they wasn't in people's imaginations back then.
Yeah.
Somebody heard something and knew something that was being worked on. So it's really interesting, man. I want to do like a little hypothetical game with you here, right? From a PR perspective. I'm a new influencer.
Okay.
I have 100,000 plus on Instagram. I got about 500K working up to 1 million on YouTube. I have a product that I do sell. So my influence is already there.
Okay.
Where I'm really bad at connecting and making relationships.
Okay.
What should be my first action to start to build on my network?
I think the first one would be, I would do some type of like Zoom call and just do Q&A. Like, reach out to your audience, let them ask you the questions. Rather than trying to drive a narrative, drive a product, drive a bunch of information down their throats, let them come to you. Now, of course, have a team to moderate the questions that are coming in and everything, but let them bring the questions to you and really understand, what is my audience really interested in? What do they want to know about me? And then by doing that, now you can take your brand, your social, and start sharing content that your audience wants to know more about or they want to learn more about.
Okay.
Because so many times when we try to force things onto our audience, people tune it out, whereas let your audience be a part about what you create and what you want. And then you have segments that you can reach each person that follows you. I think the other thing is, don't put yourself on a pedestal where you can't make time for your people. Whether you have an event, and I know a lot of people don't like to do it, but meet and greet people.
Yeah.
Shake a few hands, talk to people, let people know you're a normal person.
Yeah.
And, and I tell people this all the time. One day you'll die and they'll die. And guess what? Your money's not going with you. Your Instagram's not going with you. Your following doesn't matter. But what legacy did you leave? Mm-hmm. And it goes back to that quote. I think it says, people may not know what you did, but they'll remember how you made them feel.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing is, how does your audience feel about you? And did you make time for them? Even if it's someone who follows you who has zero money, how can you still impact that person?
Yeah.
And so many times new influencers are like, well, I got to sell something. I got to make all this money. And I'm like, guys, if you learn to just give, what you will receive in turn is way bigger than charging, $9.97 on something that you ran.
Absolutely. There's something about the life journey of a customer that is really your supporter.
Yeah.
Versus having that cut short by you not connecting.
Exactly.
All right. And so there's power in that connection because, like I said, if I get them on one thing and then they take my next program and they get in my next community, there's something to be said about that individual.
Yeah.
Right. Like we have people in the wealthy community that have not only bought every product, but I've also did every one-on-one, have brought people in themselves, right? And then have come to 10, 11 events that we've had here in Vegas once a quarter, right? They've done almost everything. They've been on the company trip with us, right? Like there's all, and it just speaks to the value that they're given.
Yeah.
Because it is determined by their connection to the talent, right? Like Ryan doesn't shy away from having that communication, or anybody else that's in our, in our circle. Like he doesn't. We don't shy away from it because of the relationship and what we want to build.
Yeah.
You never know who you're talking to.
Exactly.
That's what I always say. Like for me, not to stop and communicate. I don't know who you are, right, and what you do. I don't know anything about you, and so I could be passing up on a major opportunity for both of us because I'm not willing to have a conversation or I've become too Hollywood.
Yeah.
What advice would you give that same individual, trying to connect and collaborate with other influencers?
I think it's, how can you add value? If you go into an influencer and say, let's do this business deal, let's sell this product, how can I serve your audience? And when you look at what can you bring to the table for them, and it doesn't have to be money. It could be, a venue where they could do a good event, or somewhere where they could have an impact. If you look to give and you look to serve, I think it creates a better synergy for influencers. And that's the biggest thing I've seen with influencers. Once they have that relationship, they'll help each other out and jump on each other's stages and invite them to different things.
Yeah.
But when you have this awkward business relationship that you're always trying to push, it doesn't work.
Yeah. Yeah. And speaking to that, I think that's where people have the misconception that at these events, every speaker is paid to be there, that they're saying what they're told to say. And that's a big misconception, right? Like I know for me being involved with it the last 3 years, I mean, we were 12, 13 events in before we ever had to pay a speaker.
Yeah.
Right? It was just relationship-based opportunities for each other.
Exactly.
Right? He would go speak at their event or something that they had going on. He would jump on one of their coaching calls for them or something of that sort, and then they would come do an event and vice versa. Like it was just an exchange through the relationship. And what happens is it not only does it build authority because of what you're talking about, but it builds trust with your audience. Yeah. So it's important to do that collaborating.
Yeah.
I think that if more people did it, even on a smaller scale, right? Like if you're at home right now and you just started your journey in content creation, you don't need to have a massive following to go collaborate with the person that's in your field.
No.
All right, and this is what I encourage people at the event to do. Right, like neither one of us have a massive following, but we're collaborating here. Right, my audience is going to find out about Jeffrey, and Jeffrey's audience is going to find out about Justin, and we don't know what comes from that.
Exactly.
Other than growth.
Exactly.
It can't hurt.
And trust the process. I mean, 2 months ago, I lost my Instagram account. I had 2,500 followers. In the last few weeks and months, I've grown a new account, started doing some content, just having authentic conversations, and I've been gaining 1,000 new followers a week, so much that people are like, are you buying followers? I'm like, no, I'm just giving them authentic information and content of who I am, what I stand for, and the people I get to meet, and people love that and are in tune with that. And, would I want 1 million followers? Yes, who doesn't?
Right.
But it's just Trust the process. Because when you try and rush and buy, I just want to buy all of them, it ruins your social.
Dude, I don't understand the buying.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. Like, let me take that back. There are certain instances where I'm like, okay, I see why that individual did it. Already have a successful business, has been pretty much got that business without any presence on social media, but wants to do more of like speaking engagements and things like that. I get it. People see numbers and they see authority, and so it matches up. But I'm like, they already have the business backing it. So it's like, regardless, they can get up there and talk about their business because they actually did it, right? Whereas the individual that has no track record of good business or strong, business, or, really doesn't have a network at all, goes and buys, it just doesn't make any sense to me. Like, you're absolutely right. You're ruining your engagement. You're ruining your social media. It's going to be hard to get it back. It's going to be hard to get people's trust, right? Like, it's all those pieces that you're doing to your platform. And to me, it just doesn't make sense. Why you want to talk to nobody? Yeah. You're making videos for no one at that point.
Exactly. One of the biggest lessons I learned, and Ray Lewis actually said this, he said, you can have a giant audience, but what's your message? Yeah. So you get all these followers, then what? Like, what value adding to them and everything? We're rushing so quick to get all these people to follow us and stuff, but then what now?
Yeah. Yeah, dude. I had one video that did good. It had nothing to do with content or anything professionally. I mentioned the Bible app, and I tell this story all the time. In that video, I'm doing a podcast with a young lady named Jane, and I go, she was like, you got anything to leave the people with? And so I was kind of joking, but I was like, all right, here's a cheat code. Here's a life cheat code for you. If you're trying to create better habits and you're trying to read your Bible, in the morning as a better habit for yourself, but you can't quite get it, you can't quite figure it out, you skip some mornings. I was like, get the Bible app on your phone, cut it on before you go to sleep, put the phone down. So that the first thing you see when you wake up in the morning, rather than it running your thumb, because you know how the thumb is. The thumb automatically go to Instagram or YouTube. Rather than it doing that, the Bible's already open.
I love that.
You get the scripture of the day along with whatever you want to, whatever lesson you want to read. And that video in like 2 hours did like 130,000 views. And I just watched my following go. I was like, it really only takes one video for it to grow. I got up over 10K and then it's still going now. But it's just like, I didn't do anything like crazy to earn that other than just speak a truth, right? Like, this is how I gained the habit of getting into my actual Bible every morning. And then it was just like it was relatable. People could connect to that. Like, I do want better morning habits. So whether or not you're a Bible reader or not, you wanted a better morning habit. You felt that, right? Well, see, like creating those habits.
And I have a video that it went over, it's probably 700,000 views now, probably up to 9. Mm-hmm. But I was working out with the kid, and all I asked him is, what religion are you and why? Mm-hmm. That's it. And it wasn't on a private jet. It wasn't with some cool influencer. Crazy. It was just a young kid. We were working out, and I was just asking him some questions. And people ran with that, and they love. And it's the amount of comments and engagement with that is crazy. And that's the thing. People is they think when getting into content and creating, you have to do something crazy, side effects. This I'm just like, just talk to people. Yeah, just be normal. Show them your normal life.
Be relatable.
And when you're relatable, people want to follow you and they want to be in tune to that. It's when you're trying to put on, you rent a sports car so you can flex and you go to in front of someone else's house. And I'm just like,
it's goofy.
Yeah, they can tell.
Yeah, it reads through.
Yeah.
Anytime you fake it, especially on video, it reads. It reads, right? Like, this is why we have actors, because they need to be able to be good at telling their truth on the screen through a script.
Yep.
Right? Like if you know a bad actor because it just reads through the video. You can see it clearly. And it's the same thing. If you're acting out something and not actually talking about what you know, right? And I'm a firm believer of that. Like, don't get on no platform and talk about stuff you don't know. You've never heard me get on a platform and talk about real estate. Yeah. As much as I know about real estate from doing all of the courses and editing every video of Ryan's, I've never got on that platform until I'm doing it. I'm not talking about it. Yeah. Right? I can go through the whole course with you. Yeah. I can tell you word for word what he's about to tell you to do. But I'm never going to do that because I just believe that you should talk about what you know. Yeah. Content side, I got you. Yeah. Video work, I got you. I can do all of that. And so it's like when you don't do that, though, it's going to read through. Mm-hmm. And then somebody's going to question it, too. Yep.
And you'll get a question you can't answer all of a sudden. And for those watching, my biggest tip for you is it's okay to say, I don't know. Because if you try to make it up or pivot or do any type, people read that.
It looks crazy.
And, it's okay you don't know everything. Yeah. We're constantly learning, growing. trying to pull new things in and everything and take gold nuggets from different people. Yeah. It's human life.
Yeah. Well, Jeffrey, you're an influencer now.
I wouldn't say that.
You're an influencer.
I'm just trying to add value to the world, my brother.
You're influencing people.
Okay.
All right. What's the goal here? Where do you see yourself, going with the journey that you're on?
One of my life missions was to impact 1 billion lives. I didn't know how. I didn't know why. I didn't know, what it would take. And I've realized that this digital platform is a way. Mm-hmm. And, the life that I live and connecting with as many people I do and conversations I have, I'm like, why not share these conversations with the world? Mm-hmm. They're too good not to share and let people, it may only reach one person. Mm-hmm. That's fine. But that's one person on that steps to that goal. And so for me, my ultimate thing is I'm just trying to grow, expand, my reach. I'm launching my own podcast called Mann on the Mic, which will be dropping here. And, a lot of stuff has been following you and seeing, what you can do. And, I have a relationship with you. I'm good friends with Sean Kelly down here. And I've seen, the way you guys have grown.
Yeah,
and
Sean's
the
great.
Podcast turns into meetups. And there's a whole lot of different things. And, and my thing is I've had kids reach out and, hey, we want to mentor with you or learn from you in this. And I'm like, okay, I can connect with you, but let me just add stuff that you don't even have to call me. You can just watch and, okay, I can take this from this video and stuff. And so it's just the journey of making mistakes and learning and growing, adjusting, pivoting. It's a journey.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. I'm excited to see where you go, man, with this. Like I said, I've seen just the last couple years, the growth there. So it's going to be really exciting to hear from you. And if I can encourage you in any kind of way, you have so many stories to tell, all right? Master the telling of them, right? Just master telling the story.
I love that.
Right? That was the number one piece of advice that I got from Erwin McManus.
Okay.
He did the pod, and I asked him afterwards, how do I get better at this? Right? And I always, again, you ask questions.
Yeah.
Somebody that's a great communicator like him, you have to ask that question. How
Exactly.
do I get better at it? And the first thing he said was, first master telling your story, all right? Get better and better at how you deliver it. He was like, and you'll see that the way it's delivered and the way it comes across on video and the way it comes across in a room, on stage, he goes, it will impact people, all right? And you will start to see them attract to you.
I love that.
Right? Because that's what real influence is. It's not you trying to go get people to listen. It's people coming to hear you. Right? And so there's a lot of power in that. So I would encourage that, man. Just continue to master your story. Continue to tell it, man. On your podcast, enjoy it, have fun, talk about everything, dude. And I'm really looking forward to doing it. And whenever you want me out, man, I'll be out.
I was gonna say, I hope you. I may have to come out here and do it because I don't know if you want to come back to Utah. But
come on, man, I'll do whatever.
Okay.
Whatever you want to do, man.
Okay.
Come to your set.
Okay.
All right.
I love it.
I appreciate you coming.
No,
by,
thank
man.
you, brother.
Let everybody know again where they can find you.
So just look up the Instagram. I'll have them put the handle on the video here, but just Jeffrey Mann _ and let's connect.
Absolutely, dude. You'll find that down in the comments, man. I appreciate you all for tuning in. Catch you on the next one. Peace.